Welcome back to the channel, bringing you the latest news from around the world. On June 18, 2025, a seemingly ordinary day, a long, unbroken line of American semi-trucks, all bound for the vast expanse of Alaska, sits motionless, their engines silent. The Alaska Highway, America's vital, almost singular land link connecting the lower 48 to its northernmost state, is suddenly, and without warning, closed. This isn't a temporary inconvenience caused by a weather delay or road construction. It's a deliberate and calculated move, orchestrated by the Canadian government in Ottawa. U.S. commercial trucks carrying essential goods and supplies are systematically being turned away at the border, with Canadian authorities citing a series of new, and seemingly impossible-to-meet, environmental and safety inspection requirements. But everyone involved, from the truckers to the diplomats, knows this is about far more than mere regulations and paperwork. Canada has identified and is now exploiting America's most vulnerable pressure point, the critical reliance of Alaska on a single, precarious road that snakes its way through foreign Canadian territory. For the 730,000 residents of Alaska, spread across its vast and rugged terrain, the state now feels less like a part of the United States and more like a remote island, isolated, vulnerable, and cut off from the mainland. The blockade instantly becomes a bold, attention-grabbing global headline, sparking international debate and concern. Imagine for a moment being one of those truckers, responsible for hauling vital food supplies, medicine, and other essential goods, and now finding yourself stopped cold at a border crossing you've navigated hundreds of times without incident. The Canadian border guards are polite, professional, but utterly unyielding in their stance. The underlying message is clear and unambiguous: you're simply not getting through. The complex and intricate gears of a vital continental supply chain have abruptly ground to a complete and unsettling halt. News of the blockade spreads with astonishing speed, from the chatter on truckers' radios to the blaring headlines of national news broadcasts. The immediate question on everyone's mind: why now? The move comes on the heels of a series of heated and increasingly acrimonious trade disputes, particularly over lumber and dairy products. To many observers, this is a clear demonstration of political hardball, a calculated power play, rather than a matter of bureaucratic procedure. Canada is unmistakably flexing its considerable leverage in the relationship, and it's clear that America, caught completely off guard, simply didn't see this dramatic escalation coming. The already fragile sense of national unity within the United States is further shaken by this unprecedented event. For the people of Alaska, already accustomed to a degree of isolation, the world suddenly feels significantly bigger. And the distance separating them from the rest of the United States feels much, much farther away than ever before. The long-standing US-Canada relationship, a partnership once taken for granted as a cornerstone of stability and cooperation, is now facing a period of unprecedented stress and uncertainty, teetering on the brink of a full-blown diplomatic crisis. The critical question that hangs in the balance: how will America, under immense pressure, respond to this unprecedented and provocative blockade? The answer to that question will undoubtedly shape the future of the entire North American alliance for decades to come. Alaska's unique geography, characterized by vast distances and challenging terrain, makes it uniquely vulnerable to disruptions in supply chains. Its remote location amplifies any logistical challenges. The Alaska Highway is more than just a road. It's the state's lifeline, a critical artery connecting it to the rest of the continent. It serves as its main artery for the transport of food, ensuring that communities across the state have access to essential sustenance and life-saving medicine, and a wide array of essential supplies, from construction materials to household goods, all vital for daily life. Most goods arrive by truck, traversing long distances, not by sea or air, making the highway the most efficient and practical option. Disrupt this crucial route even for a short period, and shelves empty with alarming speed, leaving communities vulnerable. Alaska's manufacturing base is limited, meaning it cannot easily produce goods locally to compensate for disruptions. As a result, it heavily relies on imports from the lower 48 states to meet its needs. Even a few days' delay in shipments can quickly translate into widespread shortages and panic buying. A blockade, therefore, is not just an inconvenience, it's a full-blown crisis with potentially severe consequences. The dependency on a foreign nation, Canada, for domestic transit represents a significant strategic weakness for the United States. For decades, the strong and cooperative relationship between the US and Canada made this reliance a non-issue. a seamless and mutually beneficial arrangement. Now, however, in a changed geopolitical landscape, it's a weapon that can be wielded against Alaska. In response, Alaskan officials are scrambling to find viable alternatives to mitigate the risk, but air routes, while an option, are prohibitively costly and relatively slow for large-scale transport. Similarly, sea routes, while capable of handling large volumes, are also costly and slow, especially given Alaska's challenging coastal conditions. Emergency meetings and contingency plans, while necessary, can't magically conjure new infrastructure or resolve logistical bottlenecks overnight. The highway, once a powerful symbol of connection and cooperation between two nations, now, in this new reality, marks a deep and potentially dangerous divide. Alaskans wait, increasingly anxious and uncertain about what the future holds. As the clock relentlessly ticks onward, supplies on shelves dwindle, exacerbating the sense of unease. The state's future, its prosperity and security, hangs precariously in the balance, dependent on a resolution to this critical vulnerability. The initial impact of this crisis is felt most acutely in the grocery aisles. The shelves, once brimming with choices, now stand as stark reminders of disruption. Fresh food shipments grind to a halt, leaving the produce section barren. Shelves become increasingly thin, and the prices of essential goods begin to rise, reflecting the scarcity and increased transportation costs. For families already grappling with high living costs, this is a direct and immediate blow. The weekly grocery run becomes a source of anxiety, as budgets are stretched to their breaking point. But the pain spreads. Furniture, construction materials, and auto parts are stranded south of the border, creating bottlenecks in various sectors. Businesses face lost sales, struggling to maintain their operations in the face of dwindling supplies, empty showrooms, and frustrated customers who are left waiting for goods that may never arrive. Construction projects stall, progress grinding to a halt due to the lack of essential materials. Car repairs are delayed, leaving people without transportation and further disrupting daily life. And supply chains seize up, creating a ripple effect throughout the economy. The cost of rerouting goods by sea or air, a necessary but expensive alternative, will inevitably be passed on to consumers. Small business owners struggle to stay open, facing an uphill battle against rising costs and dwindling supplies. New arrivals wait for household goods that may never come, their lives put on hold indefinitely. The blockade isn't just a trade dispute, it's a real-world crisis for Alaskans, impacting their livelihoods and access to essential goods. The dominoes are falling fast, touching every corner of daily life, from the availability of food to the functioning of essential services. The state's economic engine is sputtering, struggling to maintain momentum in the face of these unprecedented challenges. The human cost is mounting as families and communities grapple with the economic and social consequences of this crisis. Alaska's isolation is no longer theoretical, it's painfully real, as the state finds itself cut off from vital supply lines. The question, how long can the state hold out, and what measures can be taken to mitigate the long-term impact of this crisis? News of the blockade reaches Mar-a-Lago. Trump responds instantly, blasting Canada on social media. He calls the blockade an act of economic warfare and a direct insult to America. Trump demands a 24-hour ultimatum, reopen the border or face tariffs and the threat of a US-built American Freedom Corridor through Canada. The proposal is pure political theater, but it electrifies his base and raises the stakes. The White House is pressured to act decisively. Trump's rhetoric transforms a regional crisis into a national flashpoint. Supporters see strength, critics see recklessness. Either way, the conversation has changed. The world is watching for America's next move. The pressure for a bold response is higher than ever. The blockade is a symptom of deeper US-Canada tensions. Years of disputes over trade have eroded trust. Canada's move signals a willingness to use hardball tactics. Alaska's leaders, governor, senators, congresswomen, demand federal action. Their state is the pawn in a high-stakes chess match. Retaliation could trigger a trade war, hurting both economies. The North American supply chain is deeply intertwined. Disruption means pain on both sides. The crisis forces a reevaluation of a relationship long taken for granted. Is the era of quiet cooperation over? The way both governments respond will set the tone for years. This is more than a border dispute. It's a test of the entire alliance. The outcome will echo far beyond Alaska. As the blockade drags on, the future is uncertain. Will Canada back down, or is this the new normal? Washington faces a choice: diplomacy or escalation. Alaskans worry about food, medicine, and rising costs. Their connection to America now depends on foreign goodwill. Watch for official statements, shifts in shipping, and the voices of Alaskans themselves. The next days are critical. The world is watching. What happens next will shape the fate of the North.